Hello there and welcome back to my YouTube channel. James here as ever for another important ACCA video, because today I'm going through what is the best order to complete the ACCA exams in. Or in other words, what's the perfect combination that I would recommend that you undertake so you've got the best chance of passing. As you can probably see, this video is a bit long, but it goes into every single detail. I'm going to consider if you've got a lot of time, if you haven't got a lot of time, and relay all of my experience as being a student of ACCA and now a tutor. For those of you who have not met me before, my name is James, and on my ACCA channel, I help out students around the world pass their upcoming ACCA exams. And usually I have videos that are attributed to, well, why do we do this as well? Well, as you can see by the messages above me, I've been receiving on my Instagram up here, just going, James, what should I do about this combination? What about this professional paper? What about these applied skills? Well, sit back, pen and paper at the ready. I'm going to walk and talk you through, because this would be my ideal sort of situation that I'd be implementing if I was in your shoes and you've got upcoming ACCA exams. I'm going to go through all of the details available to you on ACCA's website, so make sure you click the actual link in the description below. It's going to take you through to the ACCA format on this. But to first get us kicked off going through this video, what you need to be aware of are, first of all, the actual pass rates and the breakdown of all of the different levels. So, because I'm getting marvellous at the editing now, up here, I've done a nice little breakdown for you as to, well, we've got the applied knowledge exams up at the top. So we've got the business and technology, the management accounting exam, and the financial accounting exam. And what I've done next to all of the examinations is I've put the old F paper sort of name for it on top of it, but the key number on there are the pass rates for these exams. And as you can see, the further on you get into your ACCA journey, the lower the pass rates get. Hence why I've set up this YouTube channel to help you pass all of your exams. So if you haven't subscribed yet, feel free to hit the button below. As you can see as well, the video goes into a lot of detail, took a lot of time, and I want more ACCA students to see this, so make sure you give it a massive thumbs up. And I actually dedicate all my videos to my followers, whether that's on YouTube or Instagram, whatever it may be. So leave me a comment at the bottom what videos you would like me to do, and also what do you thought of this video, if you thought it was very helpful. And the main thing is, share this with someone else who you know is an ACCA student but will be going through this process, because it is definitely going to help them. Now, after you've finished your applied knowledge exams, so that's the first little chunk up there of the three, you're then going to move on to your applied skills exams. So you've got everything on there from the law paper, performance management, taxation, financial reporting, audit and assurance, and financial management. And you can see on there that the audit and assurance one and the performance management ones are pretty difficult for applied skills exams. Then once you complete all of those, you're going on to your what is called the strategic professional exams, where you've got two papers on there which are SBR and SBL. So these are the first strategic papers which are compulsory. They're essential that you're going to have to do. Then you've got an option to pick 2 out of 4. Now this is really key. We'll come on to this in more detail as we flow through later on. But you've got advanced financial management, advanced performance management, advanced taxation, and advanced audit and assurance. And look at those percentages on there. Don't get worried. Don't get worried. This is why I produce videos for all of them on my channel. But overall, you're going to be doing 13 exams in total, depending if you got any exemptions or if you've done any sort of qualifications that will qualify. But we'll talk about that as we go through. Now, the main thing and other question I get all the time, James, what would be your recommended text for all this? You know, what should I buy in order to pass my ACCA exams? Well, I've got you covered. I've done all the hard work for you, and plus this is from my own personal recommendations. In the description to this video below, I put all of the study texts, all of the revision packs, all of the flick notes, if you want to purchase an ebook, and also study revision tools for your upcoming ACCA exam that I used to use as a student, that I recommend to all of my current students as well on top of it. So the link is in the description below, just click it, feel free to go check them out. They will definitely help, and also they are all up to date as well. That's the other critical thing. So it's all down there for you. go check it out in your own time. I'm going to keep walking and talking through so that I'm going to give you the perfect formula, whichever your situation is, to go through those 13 exams that you're going to be sitting. Now, there is also the actual foundation level or the diploma, which is called the DIP IFR. Now, it links into this video, so if you are doing the actual diploma or foundation level, it's still going to follow through, but usually your actual provider will give you a nice little breakdown for the classes as it will flow through. But still keep listening all the way to the end, because once you finish that foundation level, you're going to be going on to the strategic papers and the applied skills ones as well. So get your pen and paper at the ready. So for anyone who is new to ACCA or wanting to get to know about it a bit more, maybe you're straight out of university or you're going to be doing the first papers overall, well, you've got to understand that there are 4 exam sittings every year. So you've got to get down that the first one is in March, okay, the next one is in June, the one after that is in September, and the one after that is in December. So the reason for this video, and there's no one size fits all or one complete strategy, because I understand I went to college with loads of ACCA students, I've done online tuition, I teach students face to face, I help them out now with free videos online, on Instagram, on all different platforms. Everyone has different commitments. That's why in this video I'm going to walk and talk through that. Maybe if you work full-time like I had to do, you may have to have different contracts about your study leave. So I had to do evening classes, I also had to do weekend classes, I sometimes got a day off, which was fantastic, to do some studying for it. Other students who I know who are ACCA members now and current students have children. I also know other students that don't have a job at the moment but are currently looking. So what I'm going to go through and what I will recommend as we go through this video is I'm going to base it on sort of allowable time, or what sort of allowance of time have you got? So you'll continually hear me say, i.e. if you've got a lot of time, so if you haven't got a job and you've got not many commitments, versus I know lots of people have got very limited time as we go through, okay? So let's start to walk and talk it through, because I'm going to assume now we're at the stage of we are starting off brand new, you've just registered as a student and you're thinking about doing your first exam overall. So you've got to be thinking about, first of all, the actual applied knowledge exams. And as I said at the start, this is relating to the business technology or the management accounting and the financial accounting exam. These sort of fit into a little cluster at the start. First thing to get down is they're all computer based. So the main reasons why people fail these, unfortunately, is sometimes actually because of the system. So there are loads of free resources on ACCA's website, but it's just really handy to actually know. With business and technology, it was previously called the Accountant in Business exam. So it's recently been updated. I'm filming this in March 2021. So if you're looking through old resources, they're not going to be particularly out of date. It was just rebranded with a different name. So just so you're crystal clear, especially if you're starting out particularly new. The reason why these 3 exams are so key is that they build onto the actual fundamentals, and they go into, well, are you actually new to the accountancy profession as well? Because if you're completely new to the accountancy profession, business technology, management accounting, financial accounting, yeah, I remember back when I was a student, I'm going, oh my word, all these concepts and how does it sort of fit into a business case scenario, and how would I apply that in the workplace if I'm not working? Well, this is why it's really key that you understand and learn the fundamentals, because they build on to the other exams on top of it as well, okay? So that's why you'll hear quite a lot of people say, oh yeah, you just want to fly through the first ones. Well, if you do, you're then going to become unstuck when you come onto the applied skills exams, which we're going to talk about later on. Now, we have to consider, well, what if you've got lots of time, and what if you've got not very much time? Well, if you've got lots of time, I think you can actually do 2 to begin with at the start. So I'd recommend that you do the business and technology exam with the management accounting exam to start off. That would then leave you, assuming that you passed, going into the next sitting where you could do financial accounting by itself and leave yourself room in case you had to resit. As we saw with the actual pass marks up at the start of the video, it's still lots of students will fail these exams. They are difficult, even at the applied knowledge level. So that's the key thing here. The reason why I highlighted for financial accounting to remain as your third option on there, or to do it by itself, is the financial accounting exam relates into the financial reporting exam and goes into SBR as well on top of it. So in other words, if you don't understand the fundamentals and the core knowledge of the financial accounting exam, or maybe you scrape a pass, that is really going to hinder you going into the future exams on top of it. But in essence, if you are busy now, okay, maybe you've got, as we said, children, working commitments, and you just want to do one at a time, well, what I'd recommend there is, first of all, start off with business and technology, then go on to management accounting, and then go on to financial accounting after that. The other thing I just want to highlight at the applied knowledge exams sort of area is that if you go to university or you go to an institution provider, this is where you may actually want to do some research to say, do they cover these with exemptions? And if you are new to studying, can you apply for those through the exemptions calculator on ACCA's website? So that is one thing to check if you're going to go onto a program and if you're starting ACCA for new. The other thing as well, I find it all the time with students who contact me or leave me comments, they get so excited by trying to get the highest possible mark, especially on the applied knowledge exams where they consider getting 85% not, oh, someone messaged me the other day saying 75% was a bad mark. And I just went, whew, this is a real lesson to learn, especially going forward, that you should be comparing yourself to yourself. Don't compare yourself to others. I know they have these world-leading sort of marks and presentations and everything on those lines, but anyone who's watched any of my videos, and we'll come on to the exams I failed later on, but you know, we aim for 100 here in my eyes, but we achieve 50 plus. That is the key thing. Get that jotted down, because that will definitely help you out on those dark days when you're having to revise and go through these. But in essence, just focus on you, keep your eyes on the prize, reach out, watch some of my videos, because I've done them on all of the exams as we're talking these through, and they're going to help. But that would be my sort of process if you're starting off completely new. Now, so we're coming on to the applied skills now. So this is going on to, we've completed those first three, passed them all. Right, where are we going from now? So just to be crystal clear, the potential exams that we have now are, we've got the law exam, we've got the performance management, taxation, financial reporting, audit assurance, and financial management on there. So 6 potential ones. What I would say first of all is, and this is from my own personal experience, I would do the law one first. Not also it has quite a high pass rate, but it's just to get it sort of out of the way. It links into a few other areas, but not particularly much. And you could get away with actually doing it with another exam, such as financial reporting. Now, the reason why I say financial reporting is, well, as we said previously on before, you'll have just done financial accounting, and the key core concepts of that will go into financial reporting on top of that. But what are the key considerations? Because you've got 6 exams here that you need to be aware of. And these are the details that I get asked all the time. So I'm going to relay all my knowledge to you now. The first one you need to really consider, and we've got to be really specific here, so don't make the mistake that I see so many students do, is you've got to consider the actual tax exam date, okay? So the reason for this is that for the UK exam tax paper, for example, the actual rules and rates and standards change. So you need to know, well, hang on, I don't want to be doing the exam that maybe at a particular time, then if I failed it, it would change in terms of standards and rules. Well, this is where it comes into our strategy that you need to be aware of. So for the UK tax paper, I know because I've sat this and I've sat the advanced one on there, is that the rules change, and the first paper of the new rules, the new rates, the new standards is the June date. Okay, that's the June date. So what that means is, if you sit it in June and maybe you failed it, well, you're still going to have the opportunity to do September or December, or at the worst, it could be March. Now, what lots of people do is that they'll fall into the trap of maybe doing it in March. If they unfortunately failed it, for example, then going into the June paper, they'd have to get up to date with the new standards. There are new thresholds. different percentages to take into account. So use it to your advantage. If you can fit it in into your schedule to say June, maybe September on there, that could really help. With December being, well, sit it in December. If I was to fail, I've got another bite at the cherry in March. So that's a really key thing to keep in mind here. So the others have new syllabus changes as well. So that's within performance management, audit and assurance, financial management. But these come into effect in September now. These aren't as drastic as the tax paper, but you still have to be aware of it. So trying to fit it into your schedule where you sort of fit it in. Some of them don't really change particularly much, but I wanted you to be aware of this. Have a look on ACCA's website, go into the syllabus areas, and it will show you in there what is new for your paper. But just to be crystal clear, the September paper will be the first lot of the new standards or any updates what will be in there. But overall, the financial management, audit, financial reporting and performance management, there will be little changes. We've got to keep the exams up to date and to the correct standards, but not as much of a change as tax on there. This is also a good time to mention, if you're coming out of university with a sort of business and finance degree or accountancy and finance degree, this is where your exemptions will kick in to say, well, which ones do you actually are covered by the university that you have to pay for the exemptions for, and which ones that maybe you didn't pick it as an option, so you'll have to do. So this is where the university students or other providers will fit into the system, just so we're crystal clear whatever time you're watching this. Okay. Now, we then also have to consider which ones people find tough on here. Now, audit and assurance is generally accepted to be the toughest paper, especially at this level on here, for the applied skills, along with performance management. These are the queries I get the most about. And again, I've put videos of these on my channel, so after this, feel free to check it out, and I'll put some other links in the description below. But after doing the actual law paper first, then going on to the financial reporting, I'd then be actually advising you to say to yourself, well, which exam do you feel most comfortable with out of the others? Or which area do you actually work in, for example? So maybe you actually do some financial management or performance management, or maybe even audit at work. Maybe you are an auditor watching this. Well, then I'd say, well, get the law paper done, get the actual financial reporting paper done, and then start to think about, well, which one am I comfortable in, and where is that tax paper fitting into my actual flow of when I will be sitting on. Plus, taking into account if you actually had to resit, because the pass rates are still particularly low, even at this level, where you can particularly fail these. And I know students that have failed 3, 4, maybe even 5 times as well. So it's all about considering the different areas, what you're comfortable in, as I said. But if you're going to go sort of one at a time, law, and hang on, let's break this down to say, well, lots of time versus someone who's working full time and studying. Law first, definitely, with or without FR. So if you've got lots of time, do it with FR. If you don't have a lot of time, just do law, then go on to financial reporting, as I said, then work out where tax is falling into this. For me personally, I didn't work in the audit sector, and I knew how hard audit was. I wanted to do it by itself. I planned when I fitted in the actual tax paper, and then did the audit and assurance paper last on there. The other key thing to note down here, which we'll come on to with the strategic professional exams, is that there are no time limits in order to pass all of the applied exams. So no matter how long it takes you to do the audit exam, financial management, performance management, all of them on there, there is no time limit associated with that. So that's a really key fact that you need to be aware of. You will then need to make your own judgment based on your own commitments, along with those dates as we've talked about, when to fit in tax, and then basing on your preferences to say, well, performance management, financial management. Some have minor overlapping areas, but to be honest with you, it's all about picking when you do tax. For me, I wasn't an auditor, so I did that one last. Law was one of the first ones we had to do. Financial reporting, I'd be advising you to do that straight away. Financial reporting links into all of the other areas. Plus, you'd have done financial accounting previously. So it's all about your own preference, how much time you've got. you could do performance management and financial management together. They are very difficult exams to go through, loads of question practice, but the ball is in your court. I've given you all the details about when the tax paper rules changes, when I would advise trying to do it in June or September, but making sure you've got the law paper and the financial reporting exam done, all sorted beforehand, and then weighing up which one do you feel comfortable on, with identifying that performance management and audit assurance are going to be pretty tricky. So that covers us there for all of the applied exams that you can actually sort of flow through if you're going to do one at a time, or if you're going to be brave and now you know which sort of two you can pick at a time. But you've got a lot of flexibility, you know the variables on there. Now then, we come on to the actual strategic professional, and these are the essentials. So we've got the SBR exam and the SBL exam. So this is the combination between the P1, P2 and P3, with SBR being P2 and SBL being the mixture of P1 and P3 on here. Now, the first key thing, if you're coming to the professional exam level for the essentials, so you have to do these, what I need you to do, and the data shows us this, ACCA tells students this, that you've got to go and complete your ethics and professional skills module before you sit these exams. That is really going to encompass that gap between you going up to the next level. You are going to have to apply ethics in these exams. You need to do that module to pass your ACCA and to become qualified overall, and it is going to help you out. Trust me on it. Put it down, write it down in your notes to go away and do it after this video. Or you can go watch one of the other videos. I really don't mind. Okay, so what I would say on here is we've got to weigh up the pros and cons. And again, if you've got different commitment levels, whatever it may be. I'd also note on here that make sure you've done all of the applied skill levels before you actually come on to the strategic professional ones. So in other words, make sure you've done all those performance management, financial management, audit and assurance exams before you come on to SBR and SBL. I know students that are doing, say, performance management and SBL or SBR, and they just haven't completed the core competencies. They're still learning stuff that is actually being applied in a more technical manner. So make sure you've got them all done out the way. First tick box, then do your ethics and professional skills, and next tick box, and just one at a time, just set it up in a sort of a nice standard way as you go through. Get it done little by little as you go through. Because the key thing here, as I said, was all of that applied knowledge and the skill level exams flow into now your SBR and your SBL exams as a result. So I highly recommend you complete them all beforehand and don't just leave them out a bit here and a bit there. Also, I have to give you some words of advice on here if you have scraped through. And what I mean by that is, if in those applied skill exams, maybe you got between 50 to 55% and you've just scraped through to get onto the actual strategic level papers now, well, coming on to SBL and SBR specifically, you have got to be going through that core text really, really thoroughly, because they were going into more and more detail, pulling on knowledge from different areas. I will come on to that in a moment, so stay with me. And you're going to have to be doing particularly more practice questions and past papers. So they are going to be absolutely key, absolutely fundamental. As I said, all the details to access all the resources that I recommend are in the description of this video. So check them out afterwards. That is going to have all the proper stuff up to date for you as well. Now, let's have a little breakdown of SBL and SBR on here. Okay, so for SBL, what areas link into the actual SBL exam that are going to benefit you? Because if you didn't know, you haven't looked into it, it's a case study, 4-hour exam, proper stuff, and you're going to have to demonstrate a lot of knowledge. Well, by demonstrating a lot of knowledge, what you need to be aware of is that it relates to all of the applied skill level exams on there. So that's performance management, audit assurance, financial reporting. It's all in there for you. So if you're lacking in those little areas, as I said, if you've just scraped through, it's really going to show up in your SBL knowledge and application to the exam. However, with SBR, on the other hand, this is more relating to financial accounting, financial reporting. These are the key papers that link in here. So we'll come on to that in terms of a strategy, because I know everyone's ACCA journey may be a bit different as you go through. But those are the key exams that link onto SBR. If you're coming out of university or a different other educational provider, maybe you've got some exemptions, you have to be aware this is going to be a big step up. You're going to have other commitments. You're probably going to be working at the same time. These are proper exams, a higher standard than the actual applied exams on there. So you really have to be going through those core texts, more revision questions, and putting the time in. The other thing to mention on here, because I've heard from a few ACCA students about this, is check with your employer as to which exam for the SBL or the SBR they want you to sit first as well. I've had that a few times where they've been quite specific on which one they want doing, because it might actually relate to their role more. So just be aware, maybe worth checking for you on there. So check with your employer, as I said, and June is usually the last exam with all of the up-to-date syllabus. So think about that when you're actually booking and sitting them. I mean, there's no harm if you're coming up to June, for example, and you're thinking, oh, I might do SBR, I might be doing SBR. Well, have a go at it in June. There'll be a few updates into September, but as I reiterated early on before, it's not as much usually as the actual tax exam. Usually with SBL, they take out some other elements and they update a few other bits and bobs in there. SBR is more about the actual up-to-date standards that are being applied, and you could be tested on technical articles on there. So just so you're aware, again, if you have a look at the syllabus on ACCA's website, it gives you a nice little breakdown for you. Now, coming on to the key question of which order to do it in, okay? This is where you need to be aware of, actually, from the option papers we're going on to next, which ones of those you want to do. So that links into advanced financial management, performance management, advanced tax, and advanced audit and assurance. And the reason why I say this is because SBR nicely links into and flows onto advanced audit and assurance. So if you're sat there and saying to me, oh James, I think I'm going to be doing advanced audit and assurance, I work in an audit practice, I really didn't mind the normal audit and assurance exam, I'm going to be doing that one. Well, I'd be advising you then to say, well, do SBL first, then go on to SBR, and then go on to advanced audit and assurance. It's going to have a lot better flow, but it all comes with saying to yourself and planning, are you going to be doing the advanced audit and assurance paper? And that's one of the critical things. Now, from an SBR perspective, the key thing here would be, if who knows when you're watching this video, if you've actually recently completed the financial reporting exam. Now obviously I've advised to do it much earlier on, it links into various areas, but who knows, your scenario could be different for whatever reason it may be. Well, then I'd be thinking to myself, well, okay, well if you've just finished your financial reporting exam, you've completed all of those applied exams now, well, I'd actually be saying to yourself, well, do SBR on there, then ask yourself, well, am I going to be doing advanced audit and assurance? Well, okay, if you are, go and do advanced audit and assurance after that, then go and do SBL. But if you're not going to be doing advanced audit and assurance, well, okay, well, you've just finished financial reporting, go and do SBR, and then go and do SBL, and then work out which option you want to do. Now, key thing to get noted down here, and I'm just being aware from ACCA students I speak to around the world, employers, different providers, this is where you need to consider as well what is called the 7-year rule. As I mentioned before, we had the applied exams up there, which there was no time limit on it. But for this, you need to consider the 7-year rule. So what this means is, say for example, if you passed the ACCA SBL exam in December 2020. Well, then you would have until December 2027, so 7 years on there, to complete all of the strategic professional exams, or unfortunately, if you didn't complete it by then, it would be lost. Now, I know what you're saying to me, James, oh well, 7 years, that's a very long time. Well, this really applies to could happen to a variety of people. You may be changing locations, You may have some potential family issues. You may have children is another one that I've had colleagues in the past that have had potential issues on this. And before you know it, 7 years can fly by, which it would knock it off there for you, and you'd have to go back and redo it again. So it's just to make you aware it is 7 years on there, but that's what you just need to be aware of, I would say. I mean, overall for me, I would personally want to be doing the actual SBL exam first because it relates into all of the applied exams. Then I'd be going on to SBR and pulling out my financial reporting notes and financial accounting notes. But again, it all depended on if you were going to be doing the Advanced Audit and Assurance exam, which was one of the exams that I did. So coming into it, that's why I went, well, okay, do SBL, then do SBR, and then move on to Advanced Audit and Assurance. So the ball's really in your court. It all depends on your preferences. But really, the other exams after it, for the other strategic optional papers, don't have much other involvement in it. There are some elements that overlap, but really that link between SBR and SBR and Advanced Audit and Assurance is the key nugget of information that will hopefully help someone out there as well. Well, I know it will, because these are really key things. So now having a look at the actual strategic professional options, and this is where I'd always try and recommend that you do SBL and SBR first, okay? Unless you're in that situation where potentially you've got the actual audit and assurance exam and you've come from financial reporting, as I said. But we're looking at really, really specific examples there. But now we're coming on to the actual option papers, and this is where you've got to pick 2 out of 4, okay? And there are lots of considerations to bear in mind here. So the first thing to get noted down or to consider that you're thinking about is, well, this is what I thought when I picked, and I'll come on to the ones I've done on here as well. What sector do you want to go and work in, and what do you currently work in, or what's your sort of field for it? So in other words, where do I currently work, and where do I want to go and work in the future? Because these are the skills that I want to be implementing. The other actual thing to consider is from the applied skill papers, because we're relating this to advanced financial management, advanced performance management, advanced taxation, and advanced audit and assurance. Well, from the original papers of those, the financial management, performance management, taxation, and audit and assurance, which one of those did you maybe score the highest mark in, and which one did you actually enjoy as well? Because these are very tricky papers. You'll know this when you pick up the textbooks because they are sizably bigger as well. This also links into another thing which has just come into my mind because someone dropped me a message on Instagram about it the other day. James, why don't I do SBL and SBR at the same time? Okay, we need to have a backtrack on this. They are seriously big topic areas, and you need to understand the core concepts and the core areas that you can apply into the workplace as well. Because when I did the actual option papers for here, so I actually picked advanced taxation and advanced audit and assurance. And for anyone who has watched my channel before and maybe watched those videos, but I will tell you now again, I failed advanced taxation. I failed advanced audit and assurance on here. But then I have to say to myself honestly, and to you watching, as to, well, why did that happen? Well, I can tell you why it happened. It was because I actually took the advanced taxation with the equivalent P2 or SBR exam, and then I actually took the audit and assurance with the SBL exam, the equivalent from back then. And honestly, the core areas are just so wide. It just took over my life. I was working full-time on top of this, with other commitments as well. It was really too much. And when I did the exams, we only had 2 sittings. Now that you've got 4, I can only recommend doing 1 at a time. You'll build up that core knowledge on there. And it wouldn't be the end of the world if you failed, because you could resit within the space of 3 months on there as well. So I'd always recommend taking 1 at a time. They have some really low pass rates on this. So I occasionally tutor students on a one-to-one basis, usually on these strategic papers, but it can be others, whatever it may be. I'll just try and help people out. And they do take up a lot of time, a lot of energy as you go through it. So just bear that in mind. It's the best bit of advice I can give. Make sure you do 1 at a time. along with where are you currently working, where do you want to work, and which of the actual foundation, the applied skill papers, did you really enjoy. So one at a time. There's a lot of content to consume, as I said. Now, from a real life perspective, I mean, I've worked in various different areas, different roles. I'm a tutor now as well. I would say from a real life perspective of going to different CPD events and having people come up to me and ask me about accountancy all the time, I would actually say that the advanced taxation paper is the one that has really benefited me the most in real life. Because I imagine I've been to CPD events, so that's the continuous professional development that you'll all have to do once you get qualified. And I've been to those events where they've been through inheritance tax in great detail, capital gains tax, corporation tax changes, and I go, oh my word, if I hadn't have done the advanced taxation paper, I'd be really struggling right now to pick up on this because I just wouldn't have that core knowledge. I'll also add, on video record for YouTube and for your benefit, advanced taxation was the trickiest exam I've ever done. However, it was one of the most rewarding exams when I passed that I'd ever done as well. If you want to hear more about that, I've done a video on how I passed it from failing first time to coming back and passing afterwards. So check it out afterwards, it's all to benefit you who are watching it today. Again, just to reiterate, because we talked about the updates in the syllabuses, and advanced taxation is definitely one of those, you've got to be really careful when they update. So tax again, the first sitting will be in June. So think about doing this tactically when you're going to pick them, as to when the new rules and standards and rates will be coming into play. With advanced financial management, advanced performance management, and advanced audit and assurance, any changes take effect from September. Again, there are always going to be difficulties and changes and little updates on them, but it's not as drastic as tax, I would say, on there. And again, the 7-year rule applies to these optional papers, as we reiterated, to say, look, if you passed one and then 7 years passed and you haven't completed ACCA, then it will get knocked off as a result. It really comes down to, at the end of the day, you making your choice based on this video and your other bits of research. Speak to your colleagues about it who've also done the exams. Have a look at the free resources on ACCA's website, and that is going to really help you going through it. But coming on to the advanced financial management, advanced performance management, and advanced audit and assurance, I think you can sit those whether it's March, June, September or December, and you can cope with the little changes. They've got little technical articles on ACCA's website, nice breakdowns on any updates. It's not as dramatic as the advanced taxation on there. Wow, now we've been through the whole process, all of the pass rates on there, all of my insights as well. What I always say to my students is, we've planned the work. We've planned the work. You've got a much better idea. So you've got to go and work the plan now. That is the key thing. You've got all the videos, all the resources on my actual YouTube. I'll put all the links in the description below, so feel free to go and check them out. They're going to really help you out pass these exams, and I really hope the advice and the channel is benefiting you as well. So, if you have enjoyed today's video, as we've gone through it, I know I've talked a lot, but I know you're going to get lots out of it. Make sure you give the video a massive thumbs up below so more ACCA students can see this. And as I said, make sure you share this video with another ACCA student, because that little bit of advice could help them pass their upcoming exam. If you'd like me to do any videos in particular, feel free to put it in the comments below. Just be specific and any queries that you've got, or if you'd like any advice. And as ever, you're more than welcome to subscribe so you get access to all of my free resources. And yes, you get all the up-to-date activities of the channel, shall I say, because it's all to benefit ACCA students around the world, as it's 100% student-led, hence this video as well. Well, the final thing I can say is absolutely best of luck with your upcoming examination, whichever one it may be. What I've done for you as well is I've put it at the bottom, a few other little videos at the end here, that if you go click on one of them, they are definitely going to help you pass. But as always on that bombshell, I'll see you next time. Cheers!